Yesterday, TC America, powered by Skip Barber, showcased the thrills of touring car racing in race one of a doubleheader weekend here at Circuit of the Americas. Lucas Catania broke through for his long-awaited first career win in TCX, while Clay Williams and Devin Anderson took the honors in the TC and TCA classes, respectively. Today, the field of 24 is back in action, with race 2 just minutes away. Hello and welcome to the iconic Circuit of the Americas, located just outside the state capital of Texas, Austin, here in the center of the state. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside, and it's Amanda Busick for us once more down in the pits. Fun race yesterday, and certainly in the TCX class. We've been waiting to call the win for Lucas Catania for a few years now. He had been so close so many times. Great to see him break through.
It really was, and it was a fantastic battle up front. He had the lead, went back, and finally got across the stripe first, so congrats to him. But we saw some tremendous performances. Colin Garrett, our championship leader, Maddie Oust, I mean, she was sensational yesterday, and she starts today's race from the pole, having a fast lap yesterday.
That's right, just her third ever touring car race yesterday, finished on the podium, had the crowd strike fastest lap, and today sits on the Rova pole position. Amazing for the hometown girl. Just graduated from high school within the last few weeks, and now on pole in her fourth professional sports car race. Fantastic stuff from her. In the other classes, we saw some new blood at the front. I think it's safe to say in the TC class, it's a class that's been dominated by Jeff Rika. Jeff's been driving, might still be driving right now at the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring over in Germany, representing Hyundai there. And that opened the door for the mini team to come to the fore with Clay Williams.
A bit like Nürburgring conditions, kind of changing here today. There's been some drizzly stuff this morning and sketchy track surface for these drivers to deal with right now.
Certainly Celso Neto also strong yesterday. And then in the TCA class, well, Devin Anderson and Tech Sport doing what they did at Sonoma and controlling the race from the front. It's a third win on the season now for Devin as he mounts a championship bid, but good battles all throughout the field. However, to your point earlier, today the storylines are all about the weather. We just wrapped up a wild and woolly GT America powered by AWS race where we started off in damp but drying conditions. Then it got dry. Then we had some rain right when we were under a safety car. All kinds of things happened in that race. If you missed it, I encourage you to check it out. So let's see what conditions are like here just a few minutes later for this race. And I think best positioned to give us an update on those conditions might be Amanda Busick.
You can probably just follow the evolution of my hair today if we want to talk about track conditions, but just a little sprinkles here on the front stretch at COTA. I was talking to Maddie Oust's team just about her experience in the rain. They said she has seen some of those conditions in the open wheel formats that she's been a part of, but said that the Mad Dog is ready for what will happen today. They did talk to her extensively about the start of this race headed into turn one and what could be some slippery conditions. They're more actually worried about maybe some of the battles that might be happening behind them. Look at Colin Garrett and Adam Gleason right behind them. So hoping that Maddie, the suggestion was to stay up front in these conditions and to control this race.
And that's always a good plan. Easier said than done, of course. And they've got a bunch of hungry teams and drivers behind them. Dai Yoshihara, he's been quick all season. Didn't get a good result, though, as has unfortunately been the trend throughout the year. Kyle Lowe never really found the pace yesterday, looking for a bounce back, but he's been a race winner on a couple of occasions already this season, and I'm anxious to see what he and the LA Honda World team can do today.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest surprise of the weekend is Kyle Lowe's just pace yesterday. Finished P5 on the road. Not a disaster, but we expected that Honda to be mixing it up for the lead.
Of course, we have a mix of platforms here in touring car racing. Some front-wheel drive, some rear-wheel drive. Are the front-wheel drive teams doing their rain dance?
Yeah, no, it's good. You got the weight over those driving wheels, so accelerating off the corners, you got a little bit of help there, so it certainly helps. But sky looks a little bit brighter right now. We'll see what happens.
Starting grid for race 2 of the weekend. As mentioned, first career pole for Maddie Oust. She'll have Colin Garrett, one of the championship contenders, starting in the second spot. Kyle Lowe does start third, so he did find some pace in the race yesterday. He'll have Adam Gleason alongside in the fourth starting position. Yesterday's winner, Lucas Catania, has his father starting next to him, P5 and P6 respectively, Lucas and Joseph Catania. Then in P7, it's Dai Yoshihara. Kenny Schmid starts in 8th, and Nick Roberts making his debut here this weekend. Hometown guy, from the Dallas area, in fact, racing out of the 9th spot. Celso Neto back on pole. He was yesterday too. He'll have yesterday's winner in TC next to him. That's Clay Williams. Christian Pericarpi and Michael Herzen make up row number 2 in the TC class. Then it's Sally McNulty for Gin Racer and Chris Valdez in the 3rd row, and Jeremiah Burton on debut this weekend. No relation to Jeff Burton, by the way, starts in the 19th overall position. In TCA, Devin Anderson won yesterday. He starts on pole today. Will Lambrose, who has been in a great run of form in recent races, starts 2nd. PJ Gronke and Spencer Bucknam make up row number 2. Then in row 3, it's Xiaoyi Che from Tech Sport, Mario Biundo from LA Honda World, and in the final row, the Canadian Alain Lozier and Cooper Brohl rounding out the field. Great mix of cars as ever, and I'll tell you what, this racetrack and touring cars, it's a match made in heaven. Long straightaways to do some NASCAR-style drafting, but then some interesting corner combinations that we see side-by-side racing regularly in these classes.
Yeah, there's plenty of room to work with here, and looking at these track conditions, they are improving rapidly here, so we could be close to dry by the time we get few laps under our belts here today. So, but we saw some great battles yesterday. Sensational action at the front of the TCX field. Matty Oust, a new level of pressure leading this field to green. Amanda alluded to the team saying control it from the front, but you know, I'm not going to say that she needs to be up front all day. It's all about those last couple of corners being in the right spot, but she's going to learn a lot today with Garrett and Lowe right on her tail. Gleason there on row 2. The Catanias, I mean, Lucas with the big win, but he's got to fight hard today coming from row 3.
Cars out there on the formation lap here. Of course, talking about Matty Oust. Met her father today. He's a proud papa, that's for sure. He told me she does have quite a bit of experience here in open wheel cars and in testing at Circuit of the Americas. In the meantime, let's tell a little story here about the Skip Barber Racing School and its race team and this driver here, Cooper Brohl.
Hi, I'm Cooper Brohl. I drive the number 19 Honda Civic SI in TCA class for Skip Barber Racing School. So getting into racing, I don't have like big background in karting or anything. When I got my driver's license at 16 or 17, I got out in my car and just drove around for like hours and kind of realized I really like driving. I did a bit of autocross and then went to track days and such. I kind of got into Skip Barber after taking my mother on a hot lap of Laguna Seca, and she realized it was terrifying. She was terrified by the end of it. And so she wanted to get me more training and stuff and more used to being in a car. So then I got on with Skip Barber, did a bunch of clinics with them, and here now. Yeah, for me, it's just, mainly having fun, learning the car, learning how to race, everything. I had a handful of races before coming here, but otherwise not much experience. So learned how to talk about the car, how to drive the car, just trying to learn everything. More learning for me. I think the biggest thing they've kind of taught me is kind of just the approach to it all, how to go into it right, and how to not just instantly go for like super crazy late braking kind of thing, or how to kind of approach it, how to be safe, how to safely drive. I try to get out of the car every time, no matter kind of what happened out there, with a smile on my face and have fun out there and come back in feeling happy and everything. Yeah.
Skip Barber School really is the gold standard of race driving schools. If you think about all the careers that it helped start, guys like Juan Montoya, for instance, A.J. Allmendinger, big-time stars that got their start through the Skip Barber School, and how many NASCAR stars they train to go road racing these days, too.
Yeah, it's just quality people, great instructors there, and they now have this perfect ladder system by bringing their drivers up through their own schools, then into the pro ranks here in SRO.
This is tough to see. This is Michael Herzen, former TCR champion in this series, and that VGRT team is going to work with the hood up, as you can see. Any idea what they might be working on there?
No, it's tough to tell there, but they're going to struggle here to be in the mix.
He was set to roll off from 4th in the TC class. Looks like he will not make the start of this race. However, the rest of the field will. The lights are off on the Toyota GR Supra safety car. And we'll have 3 distinct starts in TC America. Each of the classes creating that gap. They'll each get a green flag. The first one through will be TCX, then TC, then TCA. Maddie Aust, for the very first time in her tin top career, will lead the field to green. She's in the primarily orange BMW on the left-hand side of the screen. Colin Garrett, who raced the NASCAR truck race here earlier this season, starts to her outside. That's the front row in TCX as they enter the VP acceleration zone. Just waiting on Maddie Aust, the pole sitter, and here she goes. The green flag waves at Circuit of the Americas.
She timed up beautifully. Big compression there. Everyone's getting a little antsy, and she just leaps to the front here. Garrett is looking pretty patient right now, and Maddie Aust looks like she's going to swing across and claim the line, but Garrett's coming back at her on the acceleration run to turn 2.
Did a great job to hang with her on the outside. Now he's in a position to attack. Meanwhile, here comes the TC field, and now TCA as well. Big move up the inside. PJ Gronke in the blue Mini looking for the lead on lap 1.
That was a great start here, and that opens up the door for Bucknam, I think it is, to maybe get up to P2. It's going to be neck and neck down to turn 2.
How about that move from the Canadian, former TCB champion, PJ Gronke to the points.
Awesome job. Lambros there settles into P3. Bucknam looking for opportunity.
Looked like they did settle themselves out as they got into this section. This is the high-speed S's section, modeled loosely off of Mackett's and Beckett's at Silverstone. Here into the braking zone for the hairpin of turn 11. It's Garrett who leads. He was able to get ahead of Maddie Aust. Maddie slots into the second spot, and it looks like Kyle Lowe is on the move here early.
Yeah, Catania there looking for opportunity. That's Joseph in the 24 car down at the turn 11 apex. Keeps it clean there. I don't mind this for Maddie Aust. She's going to have an opportunity to follow Colin Garrett. Here we see them coming up over the hill. Garrett just gets a little bit more bite coming off of turn 1 and slides it down at the inside.
Nice move, showing his experience. And the Virginian now leads the race for Rooster Hall Racing.
I think this is great for Maddie, though. She's got that kind of guinea pig in front there for Colin Garrett to read these conditions. She can then read her pace off of him, just settle in here, create a little bit of a gap like they're doing right now with the battle behind her.
Lowe and Gleason dueling. Then we have Catania and Schmid as well in this quartet. It's Lowe in the Honda, then 3 BMWs right behind him.
Yeah, I think for Lucas Catania, he's going to try and have to make some moves here pretty quickly. I think those top 2 could inch away here if he doesn't do it early. Maddie Aust really uses a lot of the curb there on entry to turn 19. Seems like she's just super comfortable just wringing the car's neck around this circuit. You talked about the fact she has a lot of track time here. That is definitely an asset to have in your back pocket.
Tell you what, though, Kyle Lowe looks comfortable as well. He's been charging. He started 3rd, but he's right there on the rear wing of the BMWs, making their way up the hill. Keep an eye on that Honda, new to the TCX class here this year.
Gleason there having a good run, sits in P4. Things settling in. Lucas Catania up to P5. Schmid now P6.
It's been a great weekend for the Fast Track Racing team, part of the Sewell Automotive Dealership Network here in Texas, and many of the technicians actually working on the race cars here are Sewell Automotive technicians from the dealerships, and they're loving every bit of it. Now, did Gronke get shuffled back?
I think he has. As Lambros now leading from
Yeah.
Bucknam, like an Anderson down to P3. Gronke's got problems there. Looks like some contact on the front end.
Oh, side by side here. This is Bucknam and Anderson, the two that have split all the race wins between the two of them so far this season. It's 3 to Anderson, 2 to Bucknam. Whoa, this is great stuff, side by side.
This is what COTA will provide, racing like this.
On the edge of adhesion, you can see the slide. They're asking for everything the Pirellis can give them.
Spencer Bucknam, such a wise head on young shoulders. Had a nice chat with him yesterday, and he's putting it all in perspective, thinking big picture in that championship. He feels his car may not be the best here to go for the big points here this weekend, but he's been mentored by Ryan Eversley. He's not on site here this weekend, but he just said, take whatever you can. Big, brave move down to the inside by Anderson, and he manages to get it under control and grabs that spot.
Bucknam saw it coming, read it pretty well, and now he's got a chance to drag race down the backstretch, which is nearly 3/4 of a mile in length. It's a real dyno test and an aerodynamic test for that matter. It's side by side, and it does look like the Honda's got some ponies coming down this back straightaway.
Yeah, they're pretty evenly matched. Now he's got the track position at the inside, but Anderson is really good on the brakes, as you can see. Just get on the middle pedal a little bit later. Runs out wide there a little bit. Sees probably some dampness there as he tries to get back to power.
And that brings Bucknam right back into the fight. How about Alain Lausier right there in that orange Benny? He's creeping into the picture too.
Yeah, that's an awesome run for him.
It
I think
is.
he's up in the top 5.
Former champion in Canadian touring car racing. Always runs an orange Benny. That's his calling card.
Probably likes it when it's a little bit slicker.
Yeah.
Tricky conditions.
Team owner Louis Pericarpi told me this probably is the last weekend for Alain this year. He also ran at Sonoma. But those two are really good friends, and Louis has gone up and run for Alain's team up in Canada. A car off the pace there. That would be Valdez, the DRS, Dynamic Racing Services TC class car.
He's dropping down the order rapidly, some kind of technical issue, I would assume, but battles throughout this field right now. Lambros has that lead right now from Anderson. It's a healthy one right now. Up front, compression at the front there. Lower's caught up with Matty House. They've separated a little bit from Gleason. Continue to battle for P4 behind them.
Nip and tuck, you can see everyone peeking out of line, trying to see, probing the defenses. Where are they weak? How can I get by?
Lead 6 cars look so evenly matched. Just a 1/10 of a second or so separating them on their fastest lap of the day so far. Times are good. In about a second of what we saw here yesterday, so the track conditions have dried out rapidly since that GT America race just 20, 30 minutes ago.
Colin Garrett showing the way, Rooster Hall Racing. This is valuable track time for him. He'll be in the Pirelli GT4 America race immediately after this.
Yeah, they've been having a big weekend.
They have. He and Johann Schwartz.
Podium yesterday. I think this is good for Matty House. She's just settling in. Took away a lot of that pressure from leading from the front. The opportunity arose yesterday. She grabbed it with both hands, so she's not afraid to lead.
Again, that Rooster Hall team, mentioned it yesterday, they've got a special inspiration working with them in the pits. With Command Sergeant Major Gretchen Evans, they're embedded with the team. This team does a lot for veterans' causes. And having Gretchen there, by all accounts, just proves to be so inspirational for everybody involved. Really commendable what Rooster Hall Racing has done for a number of years now.
Tanya there. Still looks pretty feisty, right? I think there's a definite podium still potential for him. A lot of time left on the board still.
Car in front of him, Adam Gleason. I'm still very new to this. You can just see him learning lessons, though, in real time as the season has gone along.
It's got to be fun for fast track racing.
Yeah.
Toby Grahovic's got a couple of really fine young chargers in his camp this year for this championship.
Toby told me that everyone running for him here this weekend is based in Dallas, which is where the team is based. And he's really proud of that.
That helps. That really helps the chemistry. I'm sure they drop into the shop a lot and just mingle with the crew and just develops that chemistry. Oh, big ball move. That's late there. Catania gets it wheeled down nicely. Nicely managed there on Gleason. That was quality.
It was. And Adam saw it coming, gave him enough room, and was able to roll enough speed through that corner there. As he got the power back down, he's going to win this drag race.
He is. Looks like Catania may be struggling for straightaway speed just a little bit. Obviously, he's on the inside, tighter hands coming off the corner. That can certainly inhibit your ability to get back to power. But he had that oil smoke coming, and even though he won the race yesterday, there was certainly a lot of anxiety about where the oil was coming from. He did have to do a diff change before the start of the race yesterday and survived.
Hunter becoming the hunted now as Kenny Schmid has entered the conversation. Closing in and putting some pressure on yesterday's winner, Catania.
Seems to me like Maddie's starting to ramp it up a little bit. Still starting to push it. Yesterday we saw her really using every inch of the racetrack. A little bit more conservative at this early phase of the race, so maybe there's more pace potential there. She starts to explore a little bit deeper.
By the way, the car we saw in the pit lane, that was Chris Valdez, who we had noted off the pace earlier. Maybe he started on wet tires, perhaps? Just speculating. That could be what brought him to the pits. I thought I saw a crew member with an air gun. Might be putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5, but just a guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the state of play when we got the cars rolling, it was definitely slick, so that was a big roll of the dice if they did go in that direction, but might have been something else, may have cut down a tire and was just running slowly and just getting it back to pit lane. But Garrett now's gapped Maddie here a little bit on this lap, so she needs to get her head down.
The season for Colin Garrett, it's been all about consistency. He rattled off so many wins last year, 7 of them in total. 11 times he stood on the podium. Ultimately came up just short of Jacob Ruud for the championship. He won the final 4 races in a row last year, but Ruud did just enough to win by 2 points. That's
So
how close
tight.
it was.
7 wins apiece. No one else got a look in terms of victory lane. And you'd have to think in the off-season, he's thinking, well, Jacob's gone, it should be all mine for the taking, but there's new challenges for this year.
Won the season opener, but has not won since, but has been a fixture on the podium. And as a consequence, even though in the early stages of the year, the Honda has, quite frankly, had the pace relative to the BMW, he's been able to stack the points up enough that he was the points leader entering this weekend.
Yeah, and the series been working hard of getting the balance of performance and the equality between the 2 manufacturers represented in this TCX class as close as it can be.
Dropping back to the TC class, and that's where you find Clay Williams leading the way. Christian Pericarpi runs second. They had some kind of a technical issue on this car yesterday, and I saw them doing a hardship lap earlier this morning, but looks like all is well because Benny goes 1-2. with Celso Neto running a strong 3rd for the Skip Barber School team.
Yeah, it seems like Neto's got the 1 lap pace, but when you get in these race conditions, it seems to come Mini's way a little bit, maybe just the balance of the car. I think with Neto's car, yes, it seemed to lose its balance a little bit as the race wore on, so maybe they've changed it, maybe they'll be a bit more consistent today with any changes they may have made.
Neto comes from a great pedigree racing touring cars in his native Brazil, but came stateside last year and has been increasingly a part of the picture when we're talking about podiums and race wins, certainly pole positions over the last few race weekends. Back to the front, Garrett leads Aust. Low there in the first of the Hondas, then Adam Gleason and Lucas Catania, Kenny Schmid also in tow.
A quiet race, relatively speaking, so far, but I think it's going to get a little bit fiery as we dig into the second half of this race. Everyone seems to just be biding their time. Garrett controlling things up front, but Matty's not letting him get away.
Her pace has been so impressive. To be able to run with the likes of Colin Garrett, who has big-time racing experience. He's raced in the 2 levels of NASCAR right below the Cup Series with some regularity. Former short track champion at South Boston Speedway in Virginia, nearby where he is from, and really acclimated himself to road racing quite quickly. Matty Aust is right there in the tire tracks doing a great job.
She is. It looks like the Honda may have a little bit more handling over the BMW. The BMW's got a bit more straightaway speed, so that's all down to the power and weight that the cars have been provided in terms of getting them evenly matched.
Now this has changed. This is TCA. The positions haven't changed, but the gap certainly has. Devin Anderson has now run down Will Lambros, who is leading this race, seeking his first career win. He's been second on a number of occasions this year.
Yeah, 3 in a row.
That's right. Anderson's got other ideas.
Little twitch there, just tried to ask a little bit more, just lost the front end momentarily. Bucknam there, super consistent. Podium run once again, hasn't finished off the podium yet this year, including a sweep at NOLA.
You brought up his outlook, and I was there in that conversation that you were referencing earlier, and for a young man early in his career, it was very impressive to hear him talk about, yep, we're probably not going to be at the very pointy end. We might not win the races, but we're get the best results we can and go on and try and win this championship.
Yeah, it's almost a cut and paste of the sort of advice I was going to give him. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Someone learning the ropes.
And like you said earlier, Ryan Eversley doing a lot of coaching with these young Honda drivers. As Gleason looks up the inside of Lowe. That was a nice move. Kyle gave him just enough room. Now can Gleason make it stickier around the outside? Not able to do it. Gleason originally a Hoosier from state of Indiana, but now lives in the Dallas, Texas area. Colin Garrett leads overall, and Amanda has more on him.
When talking with the team, it's been a little bit of a battle, not only on track for Colin, but he's been battling a little sickness. Said that he feels much better today. Just in going over what kind of competition here at COTA with him, and I was talking to him about what he might like about the track, might not like about the track, and he said, I don't like anything here. But when you think of drivers having to, you know, face different racetracks, is it challenging when you have to find something to find success at a track you don't particularly like?
Yeah, you just got to take it in a different way. It's all about the championship at that point. You got to try and maximize the weekend, and if you just don't feel at home at a certain circuit, it's all about the big picture of the overall season. There's going to be horses for courses. There's going to be circuits that you love going back to. You've had success before. You expect to win, but he's done a pretty nice job for a track that he's maybe not 100% in love with.
Was there a track for you, Calvin, that you did not particularly look forward to turning up at?
Over in Europe, there were a couple that weren't my favorites, but again, it's all about the championship season, and it's the ebb and flow, and it's damage limitation when you're at one of those circuits where either you or your car does not perform as well at.
Oh, Catania there, mixing it up with Gleason. Amazing parity this weekend in this class. Again, Catania won this race yesterday. Today he runs 5th. Just has not been able to make inroads on the top 4.
Well, they're so evenly matched, and I think he has the ability and the pace to run at the front, but he just doesn't have that track position based off not really laying down a fast lap yesterday on his way to the victory. It's kind of part of the strategy. I mean, he was just so focused he wanted that win in the worst possible way. I'm sure fastest lap was not on his agenda, but there is a strategy to that. If you can suddenly find a little gap, if the car in front can give you a draft when the tires are still in their sweet spot, you got to try and leverage that and set yourself up for day 2 on these doubleheader weekends.
Again, he took a peek on Gleason. Gleason, though, had enough room in hand. And speaking of those fastest laps, Colin Garrett, CrowdStrike fastest lap, 2 minutes, 24 seconds around this place. Each of the top 3 turned their respective fastest laps that last time around.
Yeah, and there's only a couple of hundreds quicker than Matty House, who continues to stay in the shadows here of the 44 machine. Lowe looks menacing. He's really good through kind of the first half of the circuit, and then loses out a little bit on that long dyno run, as you call it, down to turn 12. See if anyone's got anything up their sleeve here in the second phase of this race.
Lucas Catania continuing to stalk.
Watch this, he's going to look for a move here.
Low to the inside. How about Oust to the inside? That's for the race lead.
Late on the power, though. This is going to hurt. Lowe's going to get a run, but I think the BMW may be able to keep him at bay. Yeah, so she got in there deep, just had really tight hands coming off late to the power, and you see the gap that immediately established for Garrett.
Yeah, that was great news for Colin. Meanwhile, a little further back, it's now Catania coming under some pressure. Kenny Schmid looking to the inside. Gleason right there towing them both along. Now Catania darts to the inside. Last of the late breakers. Ooh, good speed around the outside there from Gleason. Catania fights back.
This is good stuff, and we talked about Adam Gleason. You know, he's had a lot of speed this year. Now it's all about racecraft, and he's certainly delivering that here today. Really nice run so far and managing the pressure from Catania. Now Catania down the inside. This is going to be tight. Keeps it off of the curb. The problem, if you get down to the inside, you try and eat that inside curb, that'll throw you across the road.
Fighting over 4th and 5th in the TCX class. Gleason still hanging on by the skin of his teeth.
Great respect here. Good, clean, hard driving.
Well, Amanda, Lucas Catania, he's in the middle of this fight, and you've got more on him.
Yeah, I was just yesterday when he got that win, I think we had counted about 8 runner-up finishes that he had before that win, but you got to give the hats off to the consistency that Lucas Catania has had this season. He's been on the podium at every single race, has him within 3 points of points leader Colin Garrett. But when I asked him, well, how did you celebrate your first win after all of those runner-up finishes? Did you go get a steak? Did you have a nice glass of wine? He said, no, we went for barbecue.
Win in Austin, right?
I love that team.
Yeah.
Small team, don't have a lot of help. They work really hard night and day, literally, is the sort of effort that it takes.
This is the leaders in the TCA class. Little door-to-door contact. Ooh, repaying the favor.
Yeah, a little part was flying there. That's between 19 and 20. Lambro's leaning on Devin Anderson, and Anderson's now dropped off the pace. He's got an issue.
Did he cut down a tire with that side-to-side contact?
Bucknam's right there now in P2. That's big in the championship.
It'll be the third car through the frame that's off the pace. Bucknam has come through to second. That's this car here. The car behind, though, Devin Anderson, who was challenging for the lead. Something seems to have gone awry. Everything looks like it was up on that side of the car, at least.
He's heading for pit lane, you'd think, unless he's trying to work on some electronics here, get the car working again.
Anderson certainly not showing the same pace he did earlier when he was challenging for the lead just a few moments ago.
Car looks physically in pretty good shape in just terms of the bodywork and tires right now, but I'm not sure if that bump has affected something.
Colin Garrett's lead now over 1 second over Matty Oust. Oust and Lowe separated by a half a second. And this gaggle has gone nowhere. They have been nose to tail for the first 22 minutes of this race. Gleason, Catania, Schmid, and Joseph Catania now entering the mix as well.
Yeah, it's a great result for him. Joseph, Luke's dad, had a massive shunt towards the end of the NOLA race. They were able to repair the chassis. I spoke to Lucas about it. I said, is that a new tub? He said, no, we were able to repair it, but it's a lot of work. But he's having a really strong weekend. It's almost like that repaired car is a little bit quicker than the old one when it was in good, or before it got hit.
There, like Lucas Catania got a pretty good run out of 20. He's sitting right behind Gleason. 4th and 5th cars in line. Here comes Garrett through first, up the hill.
Biggest lead of the day, I think.
Yes, easily.
So for Matty Howe, she made that move down to the inside. I think she's just got to be a little bit more aggressive and kind of lean on your competitor, kind of keep them out there, keep them at bay on the outside. She was just a little bit too kind and given some breathing room and racing room coming off of turn 11 a couple of laps ago. A little twitch there for her. She's out of sync now. This is going to give Lowe an opportunity to close in on her.
Here comes Kyle Lowe. San Jose, California is where he calls home. The LA Honda World Honda on the attack now, stalking the BMW of Matty Oust. That's the fight for second at TCX.
Yeah, I think things are going to start to ramp up here in terms of the intensity, and maybe people start to make some moves here towards the end of this race.
This is great for Garrett. He continues to jet away. Lowe takes a peek to the inside. Drops back in, single file. Gleason covers his inside, just about a half a lane to the left, trying to keep Catania at bay.
Going to be tough now for everyone to try and catch Garrett. He's in a rhythm. He's won a ton of times before.
Early leader in TCA, PJ Gronke in the pits. Amanda reporting suspension damage for that car. That's a tough break for the affable Canadian. Hate to see that for him. Catania going inside again. We've seen this before. Again, Gleason leaves him just enough room to make it work.
Yeah, Gleason does a really nice job of just not carving it over to the apex and giving that racing room. He's really smart there, because Lucas is certainly probing, looking for opportunity to make the move. Watch this. Will he get aggressive there? No, he waits. Looks like he was set up for the crossover there initially. Wasn't close enough to make it work.
Trying to get that power down with the late apex. Running right there in the tire tracks at the midpoint, number 21 BMW. This is Lucas Catania in the white car chasing Adam Gleason, fighting for 4th in TCX.
I think for these drivers, if they got thoughts about catching Garrett, I may need some traffic here to come into play as we get the overlap of the classes before the checkered flag this afternoon. But Garrett looking comfortable. Lead right now. right at a 2.5 seconds. So Maddie took a couple of tenths out of that lead on the last lap. So there's potential there, still 15 minutes to go.
Touched on this earlier, the Catania car in a straight line doesn't quite seem to have the pep of some of his fellow BMW runners.
Yeah, it definitely seems a little tardy compared to yesterday. You have to wonder what that issue was, whether it was a differential. They changed it before the race yesterday, whether it was a seal or something, but he had a lot of smoke coming out of it. I wonder if there's any residual damage. You get a little bit of drag in the driveline.
As we enter the final 15 minutes, brief glimpse just a moment ago, some lap traffic up ahead that these leaders are going to have to fight through, same as yesterday. That lap traffic had a story to tell, certainly played a part in the outcome one day ago.
It's going to take the pressure off Garrett in terms of having to make any split decisions with someone right on his tail. So he's got the cushion there, but again, it's just the ebb and flow of where you catch the traffic, and how it affects your lap time if it will close the gap here between the leaders.
Houston Lowe, second and third. That duo comes through. Looks like there's a Subaru off the pace. It's got the blinkers on to alert everyone else. That might be Xiaoyi Che, I think, who is off the pace, or could that actually be? It might be Devin Anderson, actually. It doesn't look like Xiaoyi Che was able to turn a lap today. So Anderson still struggling. Yeah, that is Devin. Whatever the problem was, it has not corrected itself.
Yeah, and it seems to have come after the hit, right, with Lambros, so it could just be circumstantial in terms of the timing of when he's had the issue and just after that bump that they had together.
Tai Yoshihara, Japanese drifting champion, coming through. As the stricken Subaru, this will be a big hit in the championship, which has been so closely contested all season in TCA.
Bucknam still thinking about a win. Honda 1-2 right now. Lambros has it, trying to go one better. Finished second 2 times at NOLA, second here yesterday. So we're in that Lucas Catania mold of trying to break through after a bunch of runner-up finishes. Spencer's really throwing this car around through the S's here.
2 really good teams behind these cars as well. The Skip Barber Racing School team now based at VIR, so the next race will be their home race. Same for this Rooster Hall team, coincidentally.
Ooh, that's a moment for our leader there, Garrett, to deal with. Charged up on the Mini there and had to take evasive action and see if that changes things at the front. He'd pulled out 3 or 4 tenths on that lap over Matty Oust. He may have lost that there with that moment.
It is again the Canadian Alain Lozier. Now it's Cooper Brohl, who we heard from a little earlier in the show, that our overall leader needs to work through. Cooper having a very nice day today, running 4th in class. Matty carving that inside, but now stuck on the outside of Alain. Alain pulling off line.
That's tight there.
It is.
Gleason and Catania, maybe there's a little rub.
Oh, Catania slots right back in. Didn't seem to cost Gleason a whole lot relative to Lowe. He's closed in on the back bumper of that Honda.
Look at Catania just trying to figure a way out of this little puzzle.
And Schmid had to put so much steering lock in to avoid contact. He put that power down and had a big rear wheel slide, but he put the power down well enough to be alongside Catania now in the battle for 5th.
You can see Catania seeing that traffic, try to figure out how do I get through here and not lose any speed, and ultimately he lost a ton of speed and gives Schmid the opportunity down at the inside in the brake zone.
Kenny Schmid, AOA Racing, the team. That's the red and white car battling with the white machine of Catania from the rigid speed operation, side by side, still through the stadium section. Who will come out on top?
Joseph Catania, he's hanging with this battle. Great performance by him. Saying that's yesterday's winner yet. I'm right behind my boy.
That's right. The dad and lad pairing of Lucas and Joseph Catania. This is probably as close as they've run together, in my memory at least. Has to be a very special experience for the 2 of them.
I think the elbows are going to get out here in the last 10 minutes. You'll start to see these drivers as their tires start to degrade just a little bit, starts to explore the outer limits of this circuit, and certainly there's plenty to play with as we talk about with this circuit, the wide expanses that it provides.
A couple cars have received track limits warnings in recent laps. penalties just yet. By and large, everyone has done a good job this weekend, not getting too far off the racing surface. It really hasn't been a big talking point, frankly, which is great to see. Awesome move, though, by Schmid. He was taking the fight to Catania. Lucas Catania, that is. Still runs in the 6th spot. Lowe closes in again on 2nd place, Matty Aust.
Yeah, Honda definitely is a good handling car. A little bit more downforce to play with, it seems, rather than the BMW. So this would be the sector where he's really strong down through those high-speed S's. He's being super patient, hasn't pushed it. Garrett, they're just trying to clear this traffic and keep and maintain that gap at the front.
Could be a really good day for LA Honda World, with Kyle Lowe right now running in podium contention in TCX and currently in TCA, that is. Both Mario Biondo and Spencer Bucknam are running in podium position.
That's
so
awesome for Mario.
Fantastic.
He has really improved so much over the last 12 months. If he can secure that podium run. He's had a couple of practice sessions this year, I think, at NOLA, and here on Thursday he was the fastest man on the racetrack.
Yeah, this is 2nd place in TC. Christian Pericarpi running behind his teammate, Clay Williams. There's a few seconds separating the two of them. Then you have to drop back quite a ways to find Celso Neto, one of the cars that has been warned, by the way, for track limits, currently running in the 3rd spot.
And I think for Williams, he's doing exactly what he needed to do with Ricker away, performing at the Nürburgring this weekend. I think he came in with like a 37-point deficit into this weekend. If he sweeps the weekend, that's 50 score, so that will put him up by 13.
Yeah, that's right. Big for Mini, too, in the manufacturer's points, because they're in a position, as things run at least, to finish 1-2 with only one Hyundai here this weekend, and Sowie is running back in 4th right now.
May make Jeff Ricker and Hyundai second guess their decision not to fill that car with someone else. There was a Hyundai factory driver, won't give away too much information, who was slated to maybe be here this weekend and try and grab the wins, get the manufacturer points, and most importantly, take away some of the points that Williams seems to be grabbing here this weekend.
Yeah, that was under consideration, as I understand it, as of the last weekend at NOLA Motorsports Park. Did not come to fruition, and that could be something we're talking about at the end of the year as these championships come down to the wire. In the meantime, this race coming down to the wire, less than 8 minutes to go, and Matty Aust has her hands full. The pole sitter had a career best 3rd yesterday, looking to do at least one better today, currently running in 2nd, with Kyle Lowe breathing down her neck.
Yeah, it seems like Lowe's car, he can really put it where he wants. He's able to carve these corners in a different way, but he still hasn't figured out a solution to how he gets by 26 car in. This is Lucas Catania, so there was some technical issue going on with that car. We saw that his pace seems to be compromised a little bit here today compared to yesterday.
This looks like it'll be his first finish off the podium this season. Big for Colin Garrett.
At the championship.
Absolutely. When his closest rivals are struggling, he is having his best day since the season opener. Colin Garrett right now very much in control with under 7 minutes to go.
Solid run by Matty Aust. And just Lowe has kept her honest in terms of having to defend just a little bit. Maybe has compromised her ultimate pace here rather than just focusing forward. Now she's got a little gap to play with.
She does.
It is go time if she has anything. Time is running out.
Her teammate Gleason might be her best friend right now, putting pressure on Lowe, so Lowe has to play some defense here.
Should be 3 laps to go, I believe.
Well, Calvin, you made the transition from open wheel single-seater cars to tin-top sports cars. What is Matty going through, adapting to this new type of racing?
Well, it's a very different feel. You know, a single-seater is so rigid, such a stiff platform, and I came out of go-karts, so You know, it's really difficult for me to get my head around driving a GT car. Came up through the single-seater ranks, everything was a good fit, and then you make that move to, you're just not used to that body roll. But I think, fortunately, she doesn't have many years of single-seater racing to try and put off to one side. She's just learning very quickly different disciplines, so it might be a little bit easier that she's made this transition early in her career.
The great Jim McKay used to say, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. I think that sums up the weekend for Lucas Catania, Amanda.
And sometimes these drivers always keep a short-term memory because it is the highs and lows. Lucas talking to his team right now. It is a bent control arm on the BMW that's going to take him out of this race.
That's interesting. Tough break for Lucas. Had that big breakthrough performance yesterday. At least he'll have that to remember, but this was not a good day, unfortunately, for Lucas and that team. In the meantime, the battle was hotting up once again for second and third.
Yeah, and I think for Lowe, you can see there on the straightaway, that Honda just gets gapped by a car length or two. And that's just making it a really different dynamic for him to figure out a way by Matty Oust. Certainly got an advantage, it seems, in the handling department in certain sectors of this racetrack, but hasn't really got close enough to think about a legitimate move.
Kyle, a native Californian, went through the HPD Driver Academy last year, which had a touring car component to it for the first time last year. Got slotted into this ride at the beginning of the season, comes from an open wheel background, finished third in the Formula Pro USA F4 West Coast Series back in 2019. He's been working as a driving school instructor, racing school instructor, for a number of years now. Getting this chance with LA Honda World with the backing, at least in part, certainly the support of Honda.
That's where the car's really good through that carousel turn, that long duration right-hand sweep. Close.
Kyle entered this weekend third in points, just 11 tallies out of the championship lead. Yesterday was not a good day. Today has been better. Certainly a chance to finish with a podium. As we look at Lucas Catania there out of the race car, trying to make sense of what put him out of the fight.
Yeah, he's frustrated. He realized that was a big breakthrough win yesterday and put him back into the championship contention, and this is not great for him.
Just 3 minutes to go, and the fight continues here, and now the leaders are coming through, the leaders in the TCA class, which is still close.
Yeah, does this create an opportunity for Bucknam on Lambros? Depends where Garrett forces the issue to get by, and is Bucknam going to be close enough to Lambros to take advantage of that situation?
It's definitely letting Oust close in a little bit. This is not a great place for Colin Garrett to catch this traffic. Now into a full throttle section where he can pull to the inside, and the horsepower in that TCX class BMW, plenty to clear Bucknam. It does leave Lambros a little bit high and dry. Here comes Bucknam to the inside. This is the battle for the lead in TCA.
Yeah, just that little exchange in traffic allowed Bucknam to have a sniff at the lead.
Here comes Oust, here comes Lowe. They're able to make their way past the TCA leaders. Gleason and Schmid will attempt to do the same. Garrett continues to lead, but that lead has shrunk. Gleason is close. He's making a move for a podium spot to the inside of Lowe, and Gleason goes to P3.
That was an awesome move there. The BMW's a little bit stronger down the straightaway, but it's all on the brakes. Lowe tries to come back at him.
Adam left just enough room for Kyle to come back up the inside.
Ooh, that's not going to work.
Boy.
Just bad trajectory there with the two cars.
Looks like they're both able to continue on here with under 2 minutes left, fighting for third, fourth, and fifth, because Kenny Schmid is there too.
Yeah, fortunately he didn't turn low there, otherwise he may have copped a penalty on that one. He just didn't really read that quite right in terms of the two radius that they are both on with their respective cars. No one cut a tire, he's out and wide. Lowe comes back at him, has allowed Oust to escape their attention, just focus forward on the leader. Oh, he's got a problem, maybe a cut down tire.
Yep, problems there for Gleason as the white flag waves, just 1 lap to go. The gap between the two is under 1 second. It's been cut in half, over half in the last lap. That traffic certainly brought Matty Oust into the fight, and now it's Gleason, Schmid, and Lowe fighting for third. Wow! Adam throws it in deep, but he can't quite woe it up in time.
Well, I thought he had a cut down time. He's back on the attack once again, so I'm not sure what happened in turn 20.
No lack of aggression in this fight for the final step of the TCX class podium.
I thought the gloves would come off here finally. Look at this up front. It is pretty tight. I'm not sure if Oust is close enough without traffic intervening here in this final half lap.
Best chance is getting a good run out of turn 11 down that backstretch into the stadium section. Side by side here, Catania and Dai Yoshihara. That's Joseph Catania. Somehow they sorted that one out.
Yoshihara, I think, had up 4 wheels in the grass there.
Yes, he did. They might still have some dirt on those tires as well. Missed the apex
Look
there.
at this, though. TCA battle going down at the wire. Bucknam is close.
It'll be the final lap for those two as well.
Seems like Lambros Honda has maybe had a slight edge on Bucknam all weekend long, but can he pull one out of the rabbit out of the hat here and grab the win in the final moments?
Here we go. Bucknam takes a peek, pops back into line here, closes in under braking.
Lambro's been knocking on the door, 3 consecutive runner-up finishes. Can he go one better? Still got to earn it. Bucknam's right there.
Just a few more quarters to go. One little slip up from Lambros. That will bring Bucknam into contention for yet another win. Meanwhile, at the very front, Colin Garrett snagged the lead early. He has not looked back. He has rarely been challenged. Colin Garrett looking for yet another win and a chance to extend his points advantage. Here comes Colin Garrett from Rooster Hall Racing through the final corner. Colin Garrett will win race 2 of the weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Matty Oust improves on her previous best career finish, bringing that car home second, a pair of podiums for her on home turf. And here's the battle for the lead in TCA. It's Lambros in the Skip Barber school car who comes across the line to score his first career win in TC America, powered by Skip Barber. Good points day, good points weekend for Spencer Bucknam, who comes home with a pair of podiums. And here we look at the leader in the TC class, Clay Williams. He knew this was his chance to make up ground on points leader Jeff Rica. Rica racing at the Nürburgring this weekend, not here to score points. Clay Williams has done everything he's needed to do. Took the lead early and dominated the race. A sweep of the weekend for Clay Williams at LAP Motorsports.
Exactly what he needed to do. Take advantage of Rica not being here. Sweeps the weekend, grabs the championship lead.
And you saw, Gleason, I did see him off track. I didn't know when that happened. That was on that final lap. He has dropped down the order. That's going to cost him a few positions. Something went wrong. Might have had to do with that contact.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough for Adam. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's Colin Garrett winning yet again and solidifying his case as a championship contender this year.
They've not been easy. There's always been a level of anxiety with these results that Garrett's getting, and it's very different to last year.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's had races where it's taken him a while for his car to come in and get into a rhythm, so... But at the end of the day, another win and extends the lead.
That was probably the most complete race we've seen out of him and that team in firm control. Really the first time that the BMW has been able to take the fight to the Honda, and he took full advantage of that.
He did.
By the way, as we saw Clay Williams come across the line, see here, CrowdStrike fastest lap to Kenny Schmid, very impressive. He finishes 4th today. But just in front of Clay was the 3rd place car in TCA, and that was Mario Biundo, who had his fist out the window crossing the line. A long-awaited podium for Mario. He will be a happy guy.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, he's come so far in terms of his learning curve behind the wheel. He says he's now racing versus just driving. Yeah. And a big smile and big support for young Spencer. His lead charge there for the championship. So, solid day for them. 2 cars on the podium. Lambros, though, grabs that first victory for Skip Barber Racing.
And a third car on the podium if you factor in Kyle Lowe and TCX. So LA Honda World had a very nice day today. Here is Will Lambros. Didn't have to wait quite as long as Lucas Catania. He was starting to enter the Catania zone, if you will, of runner-up finishes but no wins. But he finally breaks through. And I always love an interview with a first-time winner. Looking forward to that. And this is tough to see. Adam Gleason, he might be another one that went from driving to racing here this weekend.
Yeah, really displayed great racecraft first phase of the race. A little ambitious there with that one move there going into turn 15. You could tell that was never going to really work unless he managed the speed a little bit better. Looked like he got away with it, didn't turn low, so, and then suddenly it looked like his car went a little crazy on him with the handling. May have knocked the toe link or something out.
Let's take a look at our results from race 2 of the weekend here at COTA. What a great track for touring car racing. Every time we come here, I leave thinking, wow, this place might have been made for Formula 1 and motorcycles, but touring car racing at its best. Colin Garrett, the winner. Maddie Oust in second. Great weekend for her. Kyle Lowe comes home third on a weekend where maybe the Honda did not have quite the pace, certainly, that we've seen out of it so far this season. Recovering from a bad day yesterday was Kyle Lowe here today. Clay Williams, Christian Pericarpi, a 1-2 for the mini team in TC. Fantastic weekend for them, and Celso Neto continues to stack these podiums up. Feels like his day's coming.
Yeah, he's got the 1-lap pace, just needs to figure out the race pace and consistency there, but definitely knocking on the door.
How about the Honda performance in TCA? Honda 1, 2, 3, 4 with Lambros, Bucknam, Biondo, and Broll. Then you find the first mini, and that is Alain Lozier, and what might be his final start of the season. Hey, you finished top 5. That might be an incentive to come back.
For sure. It's a great run.
Colin Garrett out of his race car. He said, this is not my favorite track. He might think a little bit more about it now that he's in victory lane, chatting with Amanda.
Oh, and he's going to have to rush to get to the GT4 race because he's going to be driver 1 in today's race. And Colin, that we were talking about how you told me yesterday that this isn't your favorite track, but is it satisfying when you can sneak a win at one of those?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You know, the guys from Rooster Hall got a perfect car for this week, and I feel like we had the car to beat yesterday, but just didn't have the track position. And I screwed myself over there twice, as you all saw, so. But I can't thank these guys enough. Obviously, some cards fell in our hands with the BOP deal that's been going on through the last few races. But to bring it home and hopefully extend our championship lead today is a good feeling. So.
And I think we'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, I got to run over there right now, so thank you.
Well, the Lambros family is known in racing here in the Midwest, and he's had 3 runner-up finishes that will now ultimately get your first win in the season, Will. And you've been knocking on the door of a first win in the series to get it done at COTA. Family is here. What's it been like for you?
Super exciting, super hard-fought weekend. Finally got that win. We had 2 second places in NOLA. We had fast pace all this week, and it was just end up struggling with brake fade during the race, and that's where we would lose, but we were able to hold it off this time.
Where did this track really challenge you?
Definitely the stadium section and the low speed hairpins. That was a real pain in these front wheel drive cars. But through the S's was a blast. I mean, I think that's where I was the strongest.
Will Lambros, a winner in TC America.
Thanks, guys.
I see Clay Williams getting his helmet off, and gosh, what a weekend for Clay. He knew he had to come in with the task at hand. Jeff Ricca racing overseas, and Clay, I think officially now you are the points leader. I think you put a little bit of gap between you and Jeff. How do you hold it as we get to the rest of the season?
Man, it's going to be tough. Ricca's quick, but, you know, the minis showed this weekend what we're capable of. So we're just going to try to do it again at VIR, and we're ready for it. So, you know, I'm super thankful for everyone at Mini San Antonio and our team. They worked really late last night, so should be good next at VIR.
Sweep for the weekend for Clay Williams.
And a 1-2 in this race here today as well. That'll be a happy, happy team as they make their trek back to Indianapolis, where they are based. Highlights from race 2 of the weekend. Matty House started on pole. Colin Garrett, though, Calvin, very aggressive on the first lap to grab the lead.
Yeah, he wanted to control this race. I think Matty House was happy with that. Just sit in there and learn track conditions. And this is a little sketchy, a little dampness, and everyone had to deal with that.
Wild battles all throughout the field. This was House making her way through some lap traffic at one stage. Lowe following her through. Catania mixing it up with Gleason as well, and Kitty Schmid too.
Did ultimately have a little bit of suspension damage. Great battle between Gleason and Lowe.
Oh, it was. It was nip and tuck throughout the course of this race.
Got a little bit too feisty at one stage, and ultimately we saw Adam on the side of the road not seeing the checkered flag. This is the move. They've got some right front suspension damage with that clout.
Up at the front, though, it was Colin Garrett who controlled the race after grabbing the lead on lap number 1. He and Rooster Hall Racing pick up the win here today at Circuit of the Americas in the TCA Class 1, a track race to the line. But Will Lambrose came out ahead of Spencer Bucknam in what was a Honda-dominated weekend in that class. And for the TC class, it was a Mini 1-2 led by Clay Williams. Fun weekend here at Circuit of the Americas. We head to another classic North American venue next. That will be VIR. If you can't be there, I hope you join us for the live stream on all these same streaming platforms. So long from COTA.